All right, welcome back. More nerdy talk about retirement. Yay! Table's shaking like crazy. All right, first, thank you again for the likes, subscribes. Uh, it's awesome. This is actually really exciting for me. You know I wear all my friends, my family out with this crap. Nobody wants to hear it. So it's interesting to read your comments. The comments have been really good. Uh, I mean, really good. Like some of them have really been like making my day. Just hearing your experiences and your questions. I've had questions of why am I using 8%? Why am I not using what? How am I adjusting for inflation? Things like this. And I went over that in a previous video. Um, And one big one, and this has been going on for a long time. Like I said before, is I've always shared this stuff on Facebook, or I just talk to people, friends, whatever. Being one of my favorite subjects, I bring up retirement. And it's been going on for several years. And invariably, I would say something like, well, if you work to this age and retire, you'll have just enough. But if you go one more year, which that's the video that I'm kind of spinning off of on this one, that video got a few questions and comments, and not just on YouTube, but on Facebook, on my own Facebook, where people would say, well, what if you hate your job? What if your job is killing you, robbing you of all your joy? And I think back to my grandpa. He worked for TWA back in the 80s. And if you know who Carl Icahn is, he was known as a company marauder. I think they actually called him a company marauder. He would buy companies when they were at their bottom and either restructure them, breaking them down, getting rid of dead weight, whatever he thought was dead weight, or he would just wholesale them, and somebody else would buy them up, and then he'd walk away with billions of dollars. Well, my grandpa was working for TWA. He was a sheet metal mechanic, and Carl Icahn bought it, and you don't hear about TWA today. Trans World Airlines, the largest airline in the world at one time, they're gone. And my grandpa had had enough of Carl Icahn's shit, and he took, I don't know exactly how it was structured, but he took some sort of early buyout as a union job, and he got out, I think, at 55. And so he's the one that you would say, well, get out, because the job's killing you. I can remember him on Sunday night. He was the one that gave me my love for the water and love for the lake and love for motorcycles. First motorcycle ride I ever took was with him. First boat ride I ever took was with him. I mean, it's my two favorite things. And I remember it'd be Sunday night. We'd be coming back from the lake, and he would say something like, what's a good excuse I can call in with tomorrow? Because he could use his sick days. He just had to have a good sounding one. He couldn't just call in with the same, oh, I don't feel good. His friends, we'd be riding down the road with me as the kid, grandkid, and his friend, one of his friends would be in the front seat, and he'd say, oh, no, I used this once, or I used, a hernia, or I used this, or whatever, They'd be joking, laughing back and forth. What can I use this time? Anyway, off in the weeds a little bit there, but I'm laying the groundwork for you hate this freaking job. This job sucks. Okay. So I want to answer that question. What if you just quit your freaking job? What if you hate it so much that at some point you just walk away? What's going to happen to your retirement? What happens to your Social Security? What happens to these things? This is going to be more than one video, because this is actually pretty big. I've actually thought this one a lot through. I think anybody that wants to leave. Now, I don't hate my job. Full disclosure, I actually enjoy my job. I'm looking forward to going to work tomorrow morning. I'm a mutant. I love my job. I'm a truck driver. For me, there's no more rewarding job than the one I have. I'm a dumb truck driver. It's probably because I'm dumb that I enjoy it. I don't know, but I love my job. But for the ones that noon on Sunday, that tension starts to build and they just can't enjoy the rest of the weekend. And they're looking so forward to Friday that by Sunday afternoon, they're already thinking about Friday. And I've seen my grandpa go through this. So I've seen my friends go through this. And it's actually kind of heartbreaking to watch because it just sucks the life right out of them. I have a rule on the boat. Don't bring work. Don't bring work and don't bring drama. You're fighting with your girlfriend, leave it on the dock. You're pissed off about work, leave it on the dock. When we go out of the boat, leave that shit on the dock. So with that in mind, I'm going to throw this out real quick, and I'll probably remind you on the next video too. I read a book back in the, would have been early 2000s by Dan Miller. It's called 48 Days to the Work You Love. Now, when I read it, it's called 48 Days to the Work You Love. The volume before is called 40 Days to the Work You Love. And now it's called 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love or something. It's been written and rewritten, whatever. It's an excellent book. I'm not going to go into detail on it right now, but it actually changed my perspective about my job because at the time I wasn't really enjoying my job. I felt like a slave to it. And he helped me get perspective on that. So just throwing that out right now. So again, like, share, keep that coming, keep comments coming. Let's jump into it. Okay. There's going to be some guesstimations done here. I'm assuming you're probably a $100,000 a year earner or very close. Because what we're going to assume here is that you're able to contribute the maximum in your 401k. And the maximum being at 50. And again, I'm going to use my own here. I told you guys in a couple of videos before that I'm going to divulge what I'm doing. I'm not going to give you all the recipe here, but I'm going to give you what I'm comfortable giving you right now. And this is what my contributions are. And this is actually what my 401k looks like right now. My wife and I also have Roth IRAs. She's 48, so she can only contribute $7,000. I'm 53, so I can contribute $8,000. She does not have 401k. I do. I'm maxing it out at $30,500. This next year will be $31,000. I just found that out today. For some reason, I thought they was keeping it the same for 2025, but they've actually upped the catch-up. So last year was $23,500 with a $7,000 catch-up, which made it $30,500. Well, the $23,500 stayed the same, and that's what I'd heard. I didn't hear that the catch-up actually grew by $500. So they try to raise this by about 2% every year. They try to keep up with inflation, 2 point something. It's about the same as a COLA on a Social Security. It doesn't quite keep up with inflation, but it's pretty close, okay? So these are going to be numbers, and I did not adjust them for inflation. These are at 8%. I think I laid out in a previous video that I don't do that because trying to guess the future is ridiculous. So I just do a flat 8%, and I don't do any increases. And it'll end up being about what you think it's going to be in tomorrow's dollars today. So if it says 1 million, that's what 1 million would feel like today. Whereas the other actual number might actually be 1.5 million. But it's going to feel like 1 million today. So I'm doing the adjustments here, okay? Let's get started. If I decided to retire at 60, which I'm not going to do, unless there's some drastic reason to, I would have $767,000 in my 401k, $148,000 in the Roth IRAs, my wife and I together. Now, I can't touch her portion of the IRAs because she won't be 59 and a half at that time. I'll be 60, she'll only be 55 and a half. So I wouldn't be able to touch anything of hers at that time. If I retire then, we will have $915,000. At 4%, if I decide to start using it right away, because you can't take Social Security. Start using it right away. 4%, that'd be $36,000 a year. Could I live on that? Well, our base bills are about $3,000 a month. I actually refigured everything, and it's actually closer to 35. But we actually have something in there that I'll disclose that later that would knock it down to 25 if we didn't have it. And so, could we survive on 36,000? Absolutely, we could. It'd be tight, but we could do it if we had to. But why use the 4% rule? Because 62, 67, and 70, you're going to get Social Security somewhere in there. So what if I have a cash bridge? So if I have a cash bridge, instead of doing this at 4%, I go ahead and go 10%. That'd be $91,000 a year. Around $7K a month. $7K plus, actually. It's like 74, 75. I don't remember. I was running out of room on this. And that big one I was using yesterday, I kept, this is a lot better. More convenient. I'm just writing smaller. It's around $7,000 a month. Okay, that's very doable now. $91,000 a year. After taxes and after our contributions, again, we're putting in $15,000 to IRAs and $30,500 to 401k. After you take all that, take taxes out, $91,000 would be more than we bring home in a year. Okay, that's the way it is. So, could we do it? Oh yeah, we could. And if the stock, if you had a cash emergency fund, sort of cash bridge, where you could say, okay, I'm 60, I can't stand my job anymore, I'm going to lose my freaking mind, I have to quit now. But you're in a bear market. If you quit now, that stock may not look like 915. It may look more like 615 or 600. You got to pull out of that? No. You got to wait for a bull market. You can't pull out of that. That's how people go broke. That's what happened in 2009 when the market fell and people were pulling on their $200,000 retirement. They went ahead and pulled the same amount. It wiped them out because their stocks were, their 200 was now 100, and they pulled out anyway. Basically lost half of everything, lost their ass. You hear that story all the time. My dad lost his ass. My grandpa lost his ass in 2009. I hear it all the time. Heard it just recently, actually. To get past that, 60 would be tough because you can't draw Social Security. Let's go to 62. Starts looking a little bit better. Our own personal, I didn't do the individual time, I just added it together. Our own personal, if I wait till 62, I go ahead and quit in 60, but I got a cash bridge. I wait till 62 to actually start drawing on it. Now it's at $1,073,000. Okay. Well, now if you do 4%, that's going to be over $40,000, and you can draw Social Security. And my Social Security at that time will be $2,105. So if I'm breaking $40,000 a year, that's going to be about $3,500 a month plus $2,100. That's $5,600 a month. That's pretty good. That's way more than we actually need to survive. That's plus $2,000 handily. Okay. But if I decide to wait to retire at 62, that number jumps to $1,185,000. And being I retired at 62, I can withdraw $3,950 at 4%. That safe rate that everybody hears about. $3,900 plus 21, that's $6,000. $6,000 a month. Be no problem to do that. Okay. If I wait till I'm 67 to retire at 60 again, but I don't start withdrawing anything till 67, which would be very hard to do. It'd take a hell of a cash bridge. It'd be $1.7 million because there's nothing else going into it, right? My Social Security would be $3,250 or $3,205. If I retired at 60, I'd have $5,331. So $8,500 a month. Now we're talking. And that's if I retire at 60, but I got to have a cash bridge to get me to 67. Or, as we'll talk about in the next one, a job. Just a job. Not a job that contributes to this. What did I say I need to live in a year? $3,000 a month. That's $3,600 or $36,000. Add in another $10,000 for luxury items and fun. Let's round it on up to 50 grand. If she and I can make 50 grand, working part time even, and get through a year, do that for 7 years, there'll be $1.5 million waiting on us. We get there. We'll have $5,300 and $3,200 in Social Security. It'll be $8,500. We'll be shitting in tall cotton. Okay? If I retire at 62 and just float those 5 years, don't claim Social Security yet, there'll be 1.7 million, 1.76. Okay? That comes out to $58.77, almost $6,000. Again, Social Security is 32. So that's putting you right at $9,000. $9,000 a month. That's $108,000 a year. That puts you right back into 6 figures a year. You're going to be paying taxes. Okay? You're going to be paying some taxes on that. But you're right back in the mix. I mean, that's good money. That's good. But if I wait till 67 to retire, I'll have $6,376 to go with that 32. Well, now we're talking about $9,500 a month. That's going to look like about $114,000 a year. That's damn good. That's damn good. That's at 4%. That's at 4% now. So what does it look like at 70? Retired at 60. Made it all the way to 70 without touching Social Security, without touching the nest egg. Maybe we, I don't know, did like the fire movement people did and saved us some money. Or maybe we invested in a property. And that property is paying us just enough to scrape by, and we collect flowers and eat deer shit, whatever hippies do to survive. I don't know. There's 2 million. Can't read my own writing. $2,087,000 in there combined, IRA and 401k. Okay? If we've made it to that point. Social Security now is $4,000. And the nest egg at 4% is going to pay us $6,700. That's $10,800 a month. That's rocking, Jack. That's rocking. That's over 120 grand a year. Retired at 62 and was able to float. Took a part-time job, whatever we did to get to 70. $2.23 million. Social Security stays the same, $4,000. But now we're $7,400 in the nest egg. That's quick bad math here. That is $11,500 a month. That's jack. That's some big jack. You're getting up around $140,000 now. Retired at 67 and floated 3 years. You might actually be able to do that. You might have next, emergency fund cash by the time you get to 67. You got your bills paid. Say you set aside 150 grand or 200 grand of cash, no taxes, nothing on it, just cash sitting in the bank. You could float till 70 probably. $2.42 million. Nets you $8,000 a month plus the $4,000 for your Social Security. That's $12,100 a month. Now you're getting up close to 150 grand a year. That's smoking. That's at 4%. Not 4% at 70 years old. 4% really isn't that logical. Probably somewhere between 6 and 8%, which is be close to 200 grand by the time you're done. Let's say you waited all the way to 70. Now I've done this before. I know people don't like to hear it, and that's why I'm doing this video, because nobody wants to think about working to 70. We'll go over this in another video too. There's going to be like a part 2 and part 3 of this video. $2.6 million. 2.6. $8,600. So now you're $12,700 a month. Well over 150 grand at 4%, and you can easily do 6% off that. Easily do 6%. That's smoking. And you got no debts. You're not paying into your retirement anymore. You're not spending that 50 grand a year trying to bolster this. You are shitting in cotton so high you can't see over it. Okay? These numbers don't lie. When I say I don't want to retire a millionaire, but I want to retire a millionaire, I ain't bullshitting you. And it's not accidental. It's not pipe dream. It's intentional. I know what it takes to put away $45,000 a year. It sucks. It sucks. I can remember when I was a kid, and I'd see the taxes come out of my check and think, God, I could have bought this with that, bought that with that. What could we have bought? My wife and I bought for $45,000. 45 grand. And we send it off electronically into the land of finance. And we get a statement and see a dashboard that says, here's what it's worth today. And it's a lot of money. And it's going to become a lot more money. You gotta either believe or don't believe. A lot of people don't believe the market works. I'm a huge nerd. I'm not only a nerd about retirement, I'm a huge nerd about the stock market. I know the crash, talk about the Great Depression, the big crash, the crash of '09. I've studied all these. I've studied the tech crash. I've studied, all these. And you get to know this and how it affects elections. That's a whole other video. There's a tie into elections in the stock market. You may not believe that, but I can prove it to you. You can go down and look at it. Okay, this is my nerdiness coming out. I appreciate you watching. Again, like, share, subscribe, whatever. This is real. You can do it too. If a dumb truck driver do, you do it. You just got to start today.